See you next time. And remember, folks, just go ahead and uninstall Overwatch. You don't need it anymore. This PSA brought to you by Respawn, please. Welcome, everybody, to Respawn Please, the weekly video game podcast where two friends come together to talk all things video games. I'm a little low energy today, El. I apologize. I have a sinus infection. I went last week. I had a cold, which is why we didn't do a podcast last week. I had a cold, and then it transformed into a sinus infection. And anytime I sneeze now, this side of my face and into like my neck hurts like crazy. It feels like my nostrils are trying to shoot something out. That's probably sounds
interesting.
Gross. But it's a sinus infection.
That's weird.
I've been drinking a lot of tea.
Nice.
And
tea's always good.
And just, trying to relax. And then I also got a kitten. So it's a perfect time.
Congratulations.
Little baby. She's asleep right now. She ran around this morning for like 2 hours and and now she's just plopped out. She started she was trying to play. We got her some toys and she was trying to play with like the little, that little wand that had a little thing on the other. I was doing that and she was trying to play and she would jump at it and then she would just start falling asleep. She's trying to grab it and stuff. Cute. And so I just put her back in her little, have a little pin area for her so the dogs don't mess with her. And so the other cat doesn't try to kill her. Though Garrus was playing with her when I was in the 2 hours. Garrus started playing with her. So maybe Garrus is warming up to her. I don't know. We'll see. But what's new with you, El? How's it going? Also, I'm Jesus. I forgot to introduce myself. Always forget
No worries. Well, congratulations on adding another family member to the family, another child. But no, with me over here, nothing just, crazy, just working on a bunch of stuff, playing games, doing a lot of music stuff outside of this, just constantly creating. But outside of that, it's been a busy week. And it's funny that you mentioned you having a sinus infection because this whole week over here out in LA, for some reason, people have been getting like sick a lot. Like, I don't know if maybe it's just we're so used to like Arkansas weather or like even me, myself in Atlanta, just the changing of seasons are a little bit more, I don't think drastic's the right word, but you can see the changes. Whereas here in LA, it kind of feels like you only have a certain season more so than like winter or anything like that. But
you have one long summer and then a short like spring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's how it felt when I lived out in that area. So that was a decade ago. So
but outside of that though, I'm just staying proactive, taking my vitamins and drinking lots of water and playing games. So
nice. What games you been playing?
So we spoke about this off stream, but I was playing Death Stranding, but I gave up on it just because I could not get through it. I just couldn't. It just the gameplay loop, which don't get me wrong, it is occasionally fun to deliver these packages and stuff or whatever to whatever to get on the network. But man, there are certain points where it gets a little frustrating of it seems almost like too out of the way to like deliver things. And sometimes even delivering packages doesn't really feel all that rewarding. And it feels like the story, granted, I understand a lot of people love Kojima. I love Kojima too. He seems like a great person. Never met him, but he seems like a great person, great game creator. But man, the story, it's so hard to follow the story. You were saying this before. You were like, we must be dumb because like it's hard to like understand the story at times. And I'm just like, so the whole point of this game is to get these people all connected in the United States after a crazy catastrophic event happened. And then there's these things. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Besides the point. But I gave up on that. And I started playing, funny enough, Batman Arkham Knight. And I was playing that, having fun with that because it's a very straightforward story. And then, of course, doing the occasional Overwatch. And then besides that, I'm looking to get back into Diablo, or if not Diablo, this game came out a long time ago, but I wanted to get into Angerfoot, which has been getting great reviews from when it came out.
Oh yeah. I remember being interested in the game. I think it came out while I was in Japan, right?
The Angerfoot?
Yeah.
No, it came out I think 2 months ago.
Oh, shit. I don't know. I have no excuse on why I didn't pay attention to it then.
That's all good. Yeah. What about you? What you been playing?
I've just been playing pretty much Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes.
I mentioned this the last podcast. My gaming habits pretty much just whatever I'm streaming is what I'm playing usually, with the exception of Metaphor ReFantazio. But I haven't really been touching that because I've been sick / having to like prepare lessons and stuff for classes and stuff. And I'm trying to be a better teacher with certain things. So we don't have to get into that though. I'm trying to be a better teacher and like, be more prepared than I usually have been. Cause you know me, I fly by this. I just go for it. I improv a lot of stuff and I'm trying to be better about that. Japan taught me that I need to not do that. So Japan made me realize when I was teaching in Japan, I was like, shoot, I can't just, shoot from the hip and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta be a little bit more daring and more focused and all of that. So, so it's just been hard because I've been tired going to work, coming back from work, and then all the streams and stuff. But Dragon Age Inquisition is mostly what I've been playing since the last podcast. And then I started Alan Wake 2 DLC yesterday.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw that.
Lake House.
Yeah.
I forgot the controls for the game. And so for the first hour of me streaming it last night, I forgot that you could press T to turn on your flashlight. But I was just wandering around in the dark going, why is it so dark? Because early in the game, it was we need to turn on the lights. And I was like, did I just miss the light switch? What the hell is happening? And I was like, oh, T to turn on the flashlight.
That's hilarious.
I was literally just wandering around for a good, probably wasn't an hour. It was probably more 10, 15 minutes. But it was just one of those brain farts where I was like, I don't know how to play this game anymore. I haven't played it forever. What the hell am I doing? And
my gosh.
Just okay. So T to turn on the flashlight. So now I can see. But yeah, I was just, you go back and watch it. There's a stretch where I'm just wandering around the dark going, I can't see anything. What the hell is wrong with this game? Did I miss a flashlight?
Oh my gosh.
But it happens, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about it. Metaphor ReFantazio is amazing. Everybody should go play it. I'm taking my sweet time with it. It's probably gonna go even further on the back burner because on Thursday, Dragon Age: The Veilguard comes out, and I will probably have a on-stream profile and then an off-stream character that I play.
Gotcha.
But we'll see because since I have set times for playing Dragon Age Veilguard and all that, I'll probably have that itching to play, but I don't want to progress, a character without being on stream and stuff. So I'll just create this other character and just play this character off stream. So yeah, nice. I foresee Metaphor ReFantazio getting pushed back a little bit more. I'm only about 30, 40 hours into the game around there.
Oh wow!
But it's amazing. It's amazing.
It looks great.
It's most likely going to either be my game of the year or be the runner-up. Just depends on how Dragon Age: The Veilguard goes.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I plan on getting into ReFantazio because it looks great. At first, I wasn't sure, but then it looks beautiful. It looks like a really beautiful game. And from what I've been hearing, people love the game. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot and check it out.
Yeah, the combat is so much deeper than any Persona game already. I think I talked about it a little bit last week, or not whenever the last podcast was. And I hope that the Persona team working on Persona 6 looks at Metaphor ReFantazio and goes, oh, let's take the combat stuff that they have for this and bring it into 6 and really really elevate Persona to the next level. Because it's just fantastic.
Nice.
And it gets very in depth and as you go on and as you really hone in on your team and the builds that you want to have and stuff. So it's lovely. I love it. And not to mention the visuals are beautiful. Story is amazing. Characters are lovely. It's just an all around nearly perfect game in my opinion. So
nice.
Now I haven't beaten it, of course, so I don't know. Maybe the end just falls up flat on its face, and the next thing you know, Teddy from wait, you've never played Persona 4, have you? Shit. No. I was gonna make a joke where Teddy, he's a teddy bear basically. Okay. He just shows up at the end and beats everybody up, and then that's the end of the game. that doesn't happen, but maybe, you never know. I don't know. I don't know what happens at the end. But anyways, we are going to talk about some games today, El. So where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about Sonic? Do you want to talk about Overwatch? Do you want to briefly talk about Call of Duty? And people loving the campaign apparently, but then people already review bombing it on Steam.
Let's start off a little bit soft. I'd say let's get into some of that Sonic
X Shadow Generations. So currently, Sonic X Shadow Generations has an 80% on OpenCritic. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Let me pull open the thing. Jada Griffin on IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, saying Sonic X Shadow Generation takes an already excellent game and spring jumps it to new heights with a creative shadow campaign and appreciable graphic upgrade. So I'm curious, El, are you interested in Sonic X Shadow at all?
Possibly, just like a little bit. It's like at the slightest, just because I think Shadow is probably one of the coolest hedgehogs, if not the coolest hedgehog in the whole Sonic thing. Next to me, next to Knuckles. I like Knuckles, but Shadow is like the cooler Sonic counterpart. And I think he's a little bit of a more intriguing character to kind of play as. And so it definitely is. I probably won't go out of my way to buy it, but if it ever came to Game Pass, I'd be like, yeah, like, let's try it. Let's play it. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to play it. I don't give a shit about Sonic. I just don't. But Shadow was always cool. I remember liking Shadow as younger and stuff. And, you know, the Shadow, Sonic X Shadow Generations getting DLC where Keanu Reeves is going to voice Shadow. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it's just for like certain levels and stuff. I don't really understand what it is. It's not going to apply to the whole game or anything like that. So, that's cool, though, that they're incorporating that aspect to it. But yeah, like, I've never been a big Sonic person. I'm not into the Sonic speed run stuff that a lot of people seem to like and everything. I've never really cared for the Hedgehog. I used to watch that crappy cartoon back in the day. I don't know if you remember Sonic Adventures or something like that.
Yeah. I remember that was like was it on Fox in Saturday morning?
I have no idea, man.
Because there was like a couple of them, I think.
It was the one I'm talking about is the Sonic Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. It Bobot Entertainment.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's so funny. That's like a little.
It was on the USA Network apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something.
I remember watching. I think Sonic X. That's what I remember watching.
Sonic X? What was that?
Yeah, Sonic X was like the one that appeared on... That's the one that had Shadow in it. And so I remember Sonic X. That was like the newer, updated art style. And it was just like... There was this kid.
It was more anime.
Yeah, it was more anime-ish.
Yeah. I didn't watch that one. I don't remember ever watching that one. But yeah. So I've never been a big Sonic person. Shadow seems cool. Movies are fine. But hey, Sonic the Hedgehog, man. It's cool that it's getting good reviews and stuff. That's honestly not something I was expecting. I was expecting it.
I know.
Get like 70s. I mean, 80. Yeah, it's 80 total on OpenCritic, so I guess that's not that far off. But yeah. I will say GameSpot did give it a 6 out of 10, which let me go read a snippet from that.
I will say that because I think most of the expectation probably from that for me has come from like. The most recent like games that Sonic's come out with hasn't really been well received all that much. It's just like people kind of like, oh, like, you know, it's not living up to the hype of what Sonic games maybe like way back, not super far back, but you know, a couple years ago of just the love for them. I can't really name many that people just absolutely love off the top of my head just because I'm not into it that much. But I guess we were just used to being like, oh, it's just gonna be another average Sonic game, but hey, leave it to Shadow to drop a great game.
Yeah. So over on GameSpot, Jordan Ramey gave it a 6 out of 10, saying Sonic X Shadow Generations is a weird package. On one hand, Sonic Generations is a remaster of a great game from 2011 that feels like it's a little outdated. On the other, Shadow Generations is the conclusion to a storyline that the franchise hasn't really cared about since 2006. As someone who specifically got into Sonic games during that early 2000 period, this collection feels like it speaks directly to me. but it also feels much like its protagonist, lost in a place, out of time, and desperate to return to fonder times. It's a nice enough trip down memory lane, but the trip features all the speed bumps you'd expect from games from that era. So yeah, a little bit more. Probably this is probably the most scathing review I've seen for Sonic Generations, but yeah, you know, it's whatever. I'll play it on Game Pass if it ever comes to Game Pass, or if it magically gets free on like PlayStation or even Epic Game Store or whatever, I'll play it. But I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not, whatever. Sorry, Sonic people out there. If you love Sonic, Sonic doesn't love you. I'm kidding. Sonic loves you too. Sonic loves you. Don't worry. So pivoting over to Call of Duty now. Give me a second. Let's go over to Call of Duty. Call of Duty, is in its early release phase, right?
Yeah,
it's early release phase. So if you pre-ordered it, you could start playing it on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I think it was Thursday. Yeah,
and it officially comes out on Tuesday. So we're a few short days. So it doesn't have an open critic score yet, but IGN did rate the campaign. And this was by Simon Cardy over on IGN, who gave it a 9 out of 10. The campaign for Call of Duty, a 9 out of 10, the single player campaign. And Jordan Cardy says, an excellent string of missions that offer variety and flexibility come together to make the best Call of Duty campaign in many, many years. Black Ops 6 is a fantastic return to form for the series, allowing the designers at Raven to delve deep into their bag of tricks and keep you guessing at every turn, and successfully makes each chapter distinct from one another whilst maintaining a strong level of quality across the board. Packing a thoroughly engaging story that gets better the longer it goes on, it exceeds expectations regarding level design and creativity, showing that when given the time to craft them properly, COD campaigns still have what it takes to be up there with the best first-person shooters. Elle, does this make you want to try Call of Duty, the Call of Duty campaign?
Not really. I've never been.
No, well, nope. I don't freaking care.
Just because it's like, I feel like Call of Duty is one of those games where you really don't. Not that let me just speak for myself, where I really don't go to those games for the campaign. It's not something. The last time I remember a campaign from Call of Duty really sticking out to me was from the first Black Ops, when it had that no Russian, whatever, the airport one that got a lot of controversy.
That was like the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right? Or was that two?
Black Ops. I think that was Black Ops.
Was that Black Ops? Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And so that's just, the one, basically that got a lot of news coverage for how crazy it was at the time. But outside of that, I can't tell you one memorable thing from the campaigns of the ones that I've played. Really, to be honest, the only thing I could probably tell you is of the character in the campaign. But outside of that, it's like, I feel like people enjoy Call of Duty more so for like the multiplayer experience. And also zombies. That's like, I feel like what they're known for and what people tend to enjoy the most out of them.
Yeah. Well, would it surprise you to know that over on Steam, it's sitting at a mixed reviews of 2,355. Jesus Christ, I can't think. It said sitting at mixed reviews, and most of the people are just complaining about random crap that doesn't really matter.
I get that.
People like I think I texted you a while ago, being like, "Are you ready for people to hate Call of Duty for whatever reason?"
I know, right?
It's like
just for whatever, yeah.
I don't know. Since Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is going to be on Game Pass, I might give it a try. I mean,
yeah, I could see it. Yeah,
like just to see, like if like Tuesday the reviews are consistent with the IGN review, then yeah, I'll give it a try. If if one of the high points is the campaign. Apparently it's about 8 hours long, so nice not short bad. Campaign, not bad, yeah. And since it's on Game Pass, why not? I think you need to have Game Pass Ultimate to play it. I don't know if that's true for PC.
I think so.
But yeah, you need to have Game Pass Ultimate, but whatever. Like I have that, so
exactly.
I know that probably is not something that would appeal to you, because the Ultimate, as a PC player and a non-Xbox owner, you don't really benefit from Ultimate, right? So
no, yeah, you really don't. You really only need like the standard lowest tier of Game Pass, and you're fine.
Yeah, unless I guess you want to play Call of Duty.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so I might give it a try. We'll see. my focus is on Metaphor v Fantasio and Dragon Age the Veilguard, so we'll see. And then, of course, Life is Strange is also coming out next week.
Oh, yeah.
So
wow,
I have to squeeze that in somewhere. Oh my God. Just too many games, because then I'm freaking December. And then December, we got the hit game, freaking Indiana Jones in the Great Circle. So,
oh God,
we're eating good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. With all that said, Elle, we're going to pivot over to another game within the Activision world / Blizzard world. And we're going to talk about Overwatch. More you're going to talk about Overwatch. And I'm going to listen and just say, fuck Overwatch.
Well, everybody, Overwatch.
It's the Overwatch hour.
Woo! Yes, it's the Overwatch hour. And play a little saxophone over this here. But so it's about that time. We're coming to the end of the year. We're nearing the end here, where Blizzard and the Overwatch 2 team have come to do another director's take, talking about the season 14 that will be in December. Currently, we're in season 13, which right now they're going through the whole Junkenstein and the Wrath, Bride of Junkenstein's thing, that whole thing going on right now. But anyway, regardless, so the big point, I'm going to touch a little bit of everything, where there's been this discussion of people in the community being like, we need 6v6 back. We want 6v6. 5v5 is horrible, blah, blah, blah. So the directors in their take have touched on that as to what's going to be happening, because they're listening to everyone. Everyone's voices is being heard for the most part. So in the upcoming season 14, they will be testing 6v6. It's going to be its own game mode, separate from comp, separate from quick play. It's going to have its own game mode where you can play 6v6 if you want. But there's a catch to it, because in the first half of season 14, there's going to be a 6v6, but they're adding this new rule because they're trying to spectate whether or not the way that the game is going, if it can even kind of like the characters and how they play can even will they work well in the format of 6v6 if they were to go back. So in the first half here, I'll read a little bit here from the dev sit down, the update. Director's take, excuse me. The team has been exploring our vision and development for tests for the 6v6, and they're happy to announce they'll be running 2 different 6v tests in season 14. The first, launching a week into the season, will look a little different than the standard 2-2-2 role, which means 2 tank, 2 support, 2 DPS. Part of the series test is to not only judge our players' appetite for larger team sizes, but for us to explore different ways that we might implement a change without running into the same problems we had previously. Kind of to take a pause on that, a lot of the problems was that in 6v6, the DPS role was the most popular role, but because it was the most popular role, your queue times could range anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes just to get into one match.
Isn't that still the case, though?
No,
Isn't DPS still the most popular?
Yeah, DPS is still the most popular, but because of the way that they change it to where you only need 1 tank now, it made queue times a whole lot more.
Oh, because nobody was queuing up for tanks. Got it.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play tank. And so, so that's the reason why Aaron Keller mentioned that, if I remember correctly. But let me see, where was I? With that in mind, our first test will be a variation of open queue, which we're internally referring to as a minimum of 1, max of 3. So each team of 6 must have at least 1 of each role and no more than 3. So the first half, you can have 3 tanks, 1 DPS, 1 support. You can have 3 supports, 2 DPS, 1 tank. You can have 2 tanks, 3 DPS, 1 support, whatever. And so they're trying to see how that game style will kind of play. Will matches be quicker? So I think that's a cool way to go about it, because it's just a cool experiment in a way to see, I wonder how the gameplay will feel like, what the game style will feel like. And so that,
Is this going to be so this experiment on the launch test, when they say test, does that mean it's going to be a separate thing from just the normal queue? Or they're going to, okay.
Yeah, so they're going to have their its own queues for it, kind of the same way that if you were to do a different arcade mode or something like that, it won't be crossed over into anything. Also, there's going to be changes, because there has to be, because of the way certain characters and their stats are. Characters will get certain changes, but they will only apply into that game mode to kind of like try to balance everything. And so certain, like Doomfist used to be a DPS character, but now he's a tank, so he might get adjusted. Certain other characters, but it just depends how it plays. And so the talk goes on to say here, besides experimenting with the format that could be seen as a middle ground to the role queue and open queue, this will also give us a look as to how Overwatch 2 heroes' abilities and updates work in a 6v6 environment before we expand the other types of tests. So that's the first half of Season 14. And then the second half, as it goes on to say here, the second 6v6 test during Season 14 mid-cycle will be the classic 2-2-2 composition, but we'll incorporate some new principles we introduced in Overwatch 2, like less CC and hero reworks. So like less I guess doing like little patch updates or anything like that. So that's going to be the second experiment to kind of, they're going to compare the notes, I'm assuming. And so it says here, the 6v6 tests will have their own card in an unranked alongside other modes, and they will not take the place of other types of game modes like seasonal events or quick play. We'll also be implementing a series of balance changes that will apply to these two test modes only. The power and survivability of tanks will go down in these 6v6 formats, and we'll be taking a look at to whether we need many of these passives that we've added in Overwatch 2. So just because the way that, since I've been playing Season 13, tanks have kind of like really been beefed up, so it makes no sense when you go back to 6v6 because, you got a second tank now instead of like one needing to survive on their own. And so it's going to be interesting. That's one of the main things here. Let me see before we move on. Also, they're bringing back a couple game modes in Season 14. They go on to say we will be hosting 2 5v5 format experiments in Season 13 that are also aimed at testing flexibility within this format, similarly to the 6v6 tests. We're planning a quick play hacked coming soon, which we are calling Limit 2. This will be 5v5 with the maximum number of each role limited to 2. This includes tanks, but they will be turned to an open queue balance, meaning they will have less health. And then you can freely switch between heroes as long as there's only a maximum of 2 in each role. And then I think here it says as well, no, that's it right there. And so it goes on to say that there's going to be just like they're going to bring back Hacked event, which is now being called Kingmaker, which was like a game mode from a couple seasons ago with like the Sombra thing, which before I jump any further, Sombra also got a big rework that a lot of people are upset. Well, the people who play Sombra are a lot of upset.
Are you upset? Can't stay.
I was upset a little bit because I did enjoy her and she feels very weak now. Yeah. But you can't stay hidden like forever anymore. You only have 5 seconds and then everyone can see you. And so she feels different, but I think maybe you just have to kind of play. You have to play different now, and so you just have to adapt and adjust. And so going into the Season 14 in December, I think it's going to be interesting because I know in the community, which I know I see a lot of videos and I've kind of paid attention to what like other higher level people who play Overwatch talk about 6v6. A lot of people outside of them saying that, oh, we need to go back to 6v6. Well, here's your chance to play it. Here's your chance to give your opinion and like to get a feel for it. Because a part of me feels like I don't even know if we really need to go back to 6v6. I almost feel like it's a little bit of nostalgia hitting people of like wanting to play with 2 tanks. Because don't get me wrong, it was very fun to play 6v6. Like 2 tanks was a lot of fun. You felt like you had someone you could count on as a tank to help you with whatever. But it created a lot of problems with the queue times for like DPS. It created a lot of problems with like how fast the game was. I feel like it'll be interesting to see, but I think what we're gonna see is like the way that Overwatch 2 is set up now. It plays a lot quicker. Like it's very fast. It's very fast. Because here they've gone to the point to where they've also redone maps where it takes you less time to get to the action, to the fights. and you get speed boosts coming out. So they want you to get in there and just get to like playing and battling, where I think that this will make it slow down a little bit too much, I think. But nonetheless, for those who love it, even if they do decide to, if you're able to play 5v5 and 6v6 from here on out, that's great. Everyone can be happy. But I think it's going to be an interesting thing. I know I'll take part in it, see what it feels like, because I remember playing 6v6, but we'll see. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting season 14 as to see if it'll be sustainable.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. This doesn't make me want to come back at all. I just look at this, I'm like, cool, that's information, man. Cool. I'm curious to see like if there will be an uptick in the player base with the 6v6 coming back, with like you said, the nostalgia of having the 6v6. I'm curious to see if there's going to be an uptick in the player base. How has the player? Do you have like eyes or a feel for like how the player base is right now? Like, does it feel high? Does it feel low? Like, what are like the queue times for you? Like when you're playing?
So for me, because I think the highest I've gotten is like low diamond, which is like diamond 5. But currently I'm in plat, which is just above gold. It's like above average. But to me, the queue times, the longest I've ever had in support, I'd say, because mostly I play support and I'll play tank. But support, I think the longest I ever had was maybe like 7 minutes. But then after that, they tend to go quicker for me. If you play tank, you're almost in there instantly. Like a lot of people don't enjoy playing tank currently, which I understand because it is almost feels like it's a role that if you can't play well, and this is just really mostly on the people playing, but a lot of people blame the tank for a lot of stuff that goes bad, which is never the case 99% of the time. Because this is a team game. It's not a one person, like, it's supposed to run the whole thing, but
what? You're telling me I can't dictate everything?
Exactly. There are occasions, but they're very rare where someone can be so good that, they're able to lift the weakest link. But no, it's a team-based game. It's reason, but anyway, tank is very quick. Most of the time when I play tank, it's usually under a minute, if that, under 30 seconds where I can get a game in quick play or in comp. For me, can't speak to the higher levels because I haven't been that high. And then DPS tends to be somewhere in the middle for me. But I think most people are playing either DPS probably, and then support followed by tank, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, what is the, like I'm looking at Overwatch 2 on Steam. Like I'm looking at its recent reviews, mostly negative. Is that the, and that's just people being idiots because like don't take Steam shit seriously at all because Steam reviews are a bunch of nonsense these days. But like, are people excited? Do you see that there's excitement for this coming up update? These testings, are people like lukewarm about it? Like, like I'm just I'm trying to get a feel for like where Overwatch 2 is right now, because I don't play it. I haven't played it probably in like a year, right? So longer than a year, because it probably was like
definitely more than
probably like July 2022 or 23 or something, like whenever I played it. I don't know. So I'm just trying to get trying to process this in my brain, because like again, this doesn't make me want to come back. Like I have no interest. I'm like Overwatch 2 there's nothing that will bring me back to Overwatch 2. I mean, unless you message me and go, hey, you really need to try this out, I'll give it a try. And that's only because you asked me to. Like, so you're like, let's create content for this. And then I'll say, okay, we're creating content for it. But that's the only way I'll play Overwatch 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not playing this on my own. I'm not going to play with you off a stream or anything like that. I just have no interest in Overwatch 2. Yeah. And so I'm just curious, like, is this an attempt by Blizzard to try to bring more players back in? Obviously, they want to grow their player base, but
of course,
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because looking on like forums, like on Reddit and stuff like that, and kind of gauging other people's reactions, it kind of feels like we're currently at a divide within Overwatch 2, because I think a lot of the people who are excited for 6v6 definitely have come from when they first started playing it, when it was 6v6. Whereas there are people who are kind of are very much in the team of like, well, finally 6v6 can come in so that way everyone can see that it doesn't matter if it's 6v6 or 5v5, just get good at the game. Like it has nothing to do with the team format and the composition. And so it's interesting because I've seen a couple people who are like, oh, finally, like 6v6, they're excited for it. There are people who are excited for the first half of the 6v6 where it'll be a minimum of 1, max of 3, because they think that that's a good idea to take it in a direction that brings back that 6v6, but you can make it interesting by having 3 tanks or having 3 supports, 3 DPS, and then, just the different ways you can kind of combine to make these interesting teams. And so I think people are excited for that the most. In the standard format, I think it'll be fine. But I think some people are saying, oh, this is going to be great. Overwatch is going to be great again. Other people are like, you guys are just living in nostalgia. Like it's not going to be that great, so.
Yeah. I think the nostalgia is really going to be the cloudy thing. I think a lot of people are going to go, wait, shit, why are we back to, let's go back to 5v5. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I know in the little blog post that you were reading from, they say, in the world where a surge of players join this mode and continue to play it, then we have the signal we need to do more with it. I think what that more is depends on the level of excitement. Is there a world where both 5v5 and 6v6 exists permanently in Overwatch 2? If you had asked me a few months ago, I would have said no. As we've discussed, Overwatch 2's future in light of making the game that our players want to play, we know our players can want more than one experience, and it would be something we'd do to consider moving forward. So Blizzard isn't even 100% on board,
Exactly. Yeah.
They're just like, we're going to do it. And if there's excitement for it, then we'll keep supporting it. But if I have a feeling if it peters out, then Blizzard will be like, the Overwatch team will be like, okay, we're just going to sunset this. We're going to just stick to 5v5. Wow. Would this be a twist of fate? What if it's 5v5 that nobody plays?
Whoa, that would be crazy. That would be wild.
They're like, nobody's playing 5v5. It's been a year. Nobody's touched 5v5. I guess we're shutting that down and we're just back to 6v6.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because my whole thing, and I know of a lot of other streamers who play Overwatch have said this, is for those who have been wanting this is your time to play it. And if you really do enjoy it, tweet at Blizzard or whoever, the Overwatch team, we love this, keep this, you have to make your voices be heard. Because if not, this is kind of like Blizzard being like, well, we're giving you what you want. So either, you're going to show us that you really did want this, or you were just kind of crying and being crying wolf and being like, boo-hoo,
being little bitches. Just come out and say it, Blizzard. They're being bitches.
Basically. And then, they're going to be like, oh, you guys, it was only a few of you who wanted this, but everybody else was used to 5v5 and they were okay with it, Yeah. And so I think it'll be interesting, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
It comes December and I'm assuming they're going to keep, our season's 1 month or 2 months in?
2 months.
2 months. So it'll be December, January.
Yeah.
For its season 14. So I guess we'll see what that means, what the response to it is. Like they said, they'll have all the data on the back end, so they'll be able to make those.
Exactly.
I imagine they're gonna do what a lot of game companies do. They show the stats, give you graphs and stuff. They're like, they're doing this, they're doing this. Here's this most played character. Here's this, and it'll be like, well, evidence shows that no one is playing 6v6, or there was a lack of interest in the 2v2 the 222 version of it.
Exactly.
I had an idea, Al, and tell me how crazy this one is. I read this and I was like, it would be cool. They have the 1 tank, the 2 DPS, the 2 support. That's
gotcha.
5, to 5v5. What if that 6 slot is a wild card slot?
Oh.
And it changes every round.
Oh, that would be cool.
So one round it'll be tank. And next round it'll be DPS. And so you have to adjust.
Interesting.
You have that player that is okay, I have to learn tank. I have to learn DPS. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how that would work. It probably would be the nightmare for a lot of people, but
it probably would be.
I don't know. That idea seemed sound in my brain. Like just make it like a wild card thing where
I could do something like that.
Maybe like not like an official game mode, but like maybe like an off mode or something.
Definitely, because I think that would bring some sort of interesting. It's like like you said, a wild card. It's like an unknown. You queue up for it. You don't know if you're the wild card until you get into the match. It'd be interesting because it throws a wrench into everything. It'd be like, all right, people, you might think it's going to be easy because you have 2 tanks now, but then it could be someone else is just that much better at a DPS. That's a wild card or something. It'll depend.
Yeah. So I think that would be a fun thing. I don't know. That was my brain when I was reading this. I was like, yeah, let's try that.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say, here's a wild idea. Uninstall the game.
I mean, let's be real. Everyone, please uninstall Overwatch. It fucking sucks. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to yuck on people's yum, If you like Overwatch, you like Overwatch. It's just not for me. Like, I have accepted that. I enjoyed it back when, Overwatch 2 first dropped, and we were playing it with our friends Blitz and Little Dove. Enjoyed that. But like, I just lost interest very quickly after that. Like,
oh, yeah.
I played for like 2 solid months, 3 solid months, and then I was just like, I'm over this.
You're like, I'm out of here. Bye.
I know you still play. Blitz still plays. I don't think Little Dove plays all that often. I don't really see her playing too much. So
yeah. I always see Blitz hopping on, and like I'll be like, oh, there he goes. There goes Blitz.
Yeah, but he sucks. He's on PlayStation. He's a freaking console player. What a loser. He's not a real player. It's funny is that he listens to the podcast too, so I'm sure he's
Blitz.
He's going to hear this and be like, these guys are assholes.
He's like, I am actually really good. I'm a grandmaster over here.
Yeah, I'm the number 1 player on PlayStation. What are these guys talking about? I'm pro.
Gosh.
Yeah. But the last question for you is sort of like just a catch-all, like a gotcha question, which is, do you see Microsoft Blizzard ever releasing like a true Overwatch sequel? Because let's be real, Overwatch 2 does not. There's no reason to call it Overwatch 2.
There is not.
There's not.
People don't even really call it. They just say Overwatch.
Yeah, like the promise of Overwatch 2 was the PvE aspect, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, and I said this back when we first started playing it, I forgot. Like I knew that it was 6v6, but playing 5v5 made me go, I don't know if you remember me saying this, was like, it just feels like Overwatch. Like, there's nothing. Yeah. I honestly wouldn't have been able to tell you what 6v6 felt like, because I hadn't played since like 2017, 2018. So, and yeah, so like, do you ever see Microsoft and Blizzard going, you know what, let's try to do a true Overwatch sequel where we include this PvE, or we make this an MMO? Because like, I don't know if you saw this book, the Play Nice. Hold on, let me get the full title right. Mm-hmm. It was Play Nice: the Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard Entertainment. It's a new book that came out recently by Jason Schreier. He's a reporter for what is Jason Schreier a reporter for? My God, I should know this. I want to say he's with he currently works at where is he at? He's Bloomberg. He's on Bloomberg. Okay. Anyways, in it they mentioned that the plan for Overwatch was Overwatch 1, Overwatch 2, and then an Overwatch MMO. And obviously that's probably not going to happen, but who knows? Definitely not. But that was the original vision, because it was originally, Overwatch was originally supposed to be Project Titan, which it got spun off into Overwatch. And then the idea was to release Overwatch 2, include the PvE side of things. And then in the future, Overwatch 3 would be the MMO, and back to what the original vision of Project Titan was. So, like, do you think Blizzard is still on that track? Obviously, not the case if we're just basing it off of the fact that there was expected to be PvE. I don't. What do you think? Do you think Microsoft and Blizzard will try to push out an Overwatch thing? Do you think there's even someone that's dialed in more into the community than I am? Do you think there's even a desire for an Overwatch PvE or Overwatch MMO type thing?
No, I don't even think that it's something that people even want. Let me say this. I think maybe, a small amount of people, but I don't think it's enough to warrant or for it to make sense enough for Blizzard to make something like that or release it. I can't remember exactly where, but I think I read a report somewhere that when the PvE came out, of course, it failed. It wasn't really, a couple people bought it, but it just wasn't good because it wasn't finished. It wasn't really like well done. I want to say this was when Bobby Kotick was there, but as soon as that failed, everyone, I think the team that was working on the PvE aspect was told, all right, that's enough. Go back to the place that actually is making us money, which is, the PvP aspect, and get into the cosmetic skins, and all these things. And so, to be honest, Microsoft, I feel like if they did want to get an opportunity to release something like that, like a true sequel, it probably will be, if Overwatch is still around, it'll probably be for it'll be way in the distance future. I don't think it maybe 5 years or something like that.
2035, 11 years
possibly, if it's still around, if people still play it, or it just dies one day. But I think right now they're kind of almost like in a rebuilding phase as far as like making sure. I mean, we're lucky they're even bringing back the 6v6 aspect, I'd say. Just because I feel like that took a lot, because I think people were complaining so much for years of like wanting 6v6 back, and then now they're actually doing it. I mean, imagine how long it would take them to just try to come out with an Overwatch 3 or like a true sequel or an MMO. And so I just don't foresee it for a while. Like, Overwatch has to be successful, and it has to like really like get a groove going, and people have to, I think the player base has to grow significantly for it to warrant one.
Yeah. The hell just happened with my cat?
No.
My cat was like on one window, and he just like freaked out because I guess something hit the window, and he ran to the other window and is now staring out the other window. And my kitten is meowing now. I don't know if you can hear. So anyway, sorry.
You good?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I kind of agree with you. I think Overwatch needs to, not necessarily, it has to get back to the popularity it had back in 2016, 2017, I guess, like, obviously the launch title in 2016, it was like the biggest thing that first year.
Yeah.
And it needs to get back to that, I think, before Blizzard or Microsoft even consider,
of course,
wanting to make a true sequel or even an MMO based off the IP. Like, I would personally love it. I would love an MMO. Yeah. I would love to get some PvE content that's actually significant and interesting. Because I like the lore of Overwatch.
Yeah, the lore is cool.
I think the lore is incredible. I just can't get past the PvP stuff. It's just not the gameplay loop that I like. I don't find fun in it. It's just not for me. And so, like, I would love to see a single player or an MMO or something that adds a story and allows us to get lost in the lore even more. But I don't think that will happen unless there is a significant increase in like the player base and stuff. And like, it sucks because like it's something I want, but for me to voice that, I would have to play something I don't enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And like, that sucks.
Exactly. I was going to say it's interesting because we're also right around the corner from Marvel Rivals coming out in December.
Yep.
Which a lot of people are excited for, and I'm excited to get into it to see just the difference and see how it plays, see if I'll enjoy it. But that's one thing to look out. And then also too, I don't know how soon it'll come out, but the Steam game that's also kind of like a 6v6 that people have been playtesting.
The Deadlock, right?
Deadlock, yeah. That's it.
That's more of a MOBA thing though.
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
It's a MOBA hero thing.
Okay.
Do you want a passkey for it? I have one.
Oh, do you have one?
Mm-hmm. I got invited to from somebody else. So that means I can invite you.
Nice.
I don't know if that's actually still a thing, but it was a thing for a while. Hold on. Access is currently new to a friend invite VR player test. Yeah, so I can invite you. I can get you into it. I've only played it for like an hour, but yeah, it's just it's basically a MOBA. But with heroes and or like hero shooter stuff more so than like hero like Dota or League of Legends. So it's shooter, but it's a MOBA shooter. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What is that? Smite. Think Smite, but with guns.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's more bigger maps instead of the small arena maps that Smite had.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So it'll be interesting thing. So you have like, I'd say more so Marvel Rivals it's going to be interesting in December, which is interesting. I think it's planning on Blizzard's part where with them trying to bring back 6v6 in December when Marvel Rivals is coming out. And so I wonder if it's like a little bit of a competition as far as like, look, guys, 6v6 is coming back. And then Marvel Rivals is going to be like, hey, we're out. We're free. Come play us, And so it's interesting timing. But yeah, I think Blizzard has a very long way to go before they ever think about releasing a true sequel or even the PvP aspect. Because like you were saying, to touch back on it here, the lore is really cool. Overwatch has really great characters, and the lore behind them is so cool. A lot of their like backstories and the cinematics are just beautiful and gorgeous. And I think, man, you can do so much with it for like the PvE aspect. And so, yeah, but I think we're still a ways away from that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting again. I know we keep using that word interesting, and it's probably blah. But yeah, I wish the best for Overwatch because there's just so much promise to it. There's a huge promise for like a narrative thing. I mean, if you remember those early like trailers and stuff that were incredible, we don't really get those now,
No,
so it's so frustrating at times for somebody who was really interested in that. And that's why I was excited about Overwatch 2 was getting that, and then not getting that Overwatch 2 just pretty much killed any interest I had. It's like, but it is what it is. One day we'll see. I guess my final question for you, Elle, is, are you hopeful for the future of Overwatch, or do you feel like they're kind of getting close to a point where it's like maybe Blizzard's gonna not necessarily pull the plug, but the like support will dwindle?
Oof, that's a great question, because I was actually thinking about that as we were talking about it. Currently, I'm a little hopeful, more so than feeling like it's dwindling away. I feel like it still has life in it. Just because of with the recent character that they added, Juno. I think she was a great addition to the game. Very fun to play, very interesting backstory, very cool. And then also too with them, also they're getting I don't know if it's next season or the following season, but there's a new tank coming out named Freak. He's gonna come, and I think that'll be interesting. But I think they have everything all the tools necessary to kind of like restore the game to what it was. It's just what's going to happen along the way, along trying to get there. I think that will be the deciding factor. And so there are parts of me, though, there are some times where I kind of think that next year might be the last year we play Overwatch. I'm like, it could be there. Like it could be gone. Yeah, they could pull the plug and be like, sorry, guys, we tried. It was a great run. But I'm hopeful. I think that they can turn it around, but it's just going to require some time. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, like, again, the future can be bright and can also be dire. Like, I know for me, in Overwatch, as it is right now, I'm never going to play it again. Again, the only way I play it is if you go, hey, Jesus, you have to try out this mode. It's very fun. Let's play it together. I'll install it, play the mode with you, and then if I'm enjoying the mode, then great. But otherwise, I am not ever going to be back on Overwatch, most likely. So I just, with everything else that I want to play and just like my interest just completely diverging away from Overwatch, it's like, it's just a hard thing to sell to me. It's hard to sell me on multiplayer games anyways, to begin with.
I get that. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. I definitely understand. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep. That sucks. You remember, let's go back to 2016. The glory days.
Oh my gosh.
When everybody loved it. It was game of the year. Everybody loved it. It was perfect. And you would get all that Overwatch porn, So, anyways, wind this down, Elle.
Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to the Respawn Please podcast. You can always catch the podcast on our YouTube. Drops every Monday, as well as the audio at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. or 8 a.m. Central. It drops sometime. No.
It drops whenever it feels like it.
No. It drops 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also which is 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's for the video version on our YouTube here at Respawn Please Podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified of videos, future videos when they drop. And you can catch the audio, take it with you on the go, wherever you listen to podcasts. So that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, it's available. Just look up Respawn Please Podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Respawn Please Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. And remember, folks, just go ahead and uninstall Overwatch. You don't need it anymore. This PSA brought to you by Respawn Please.
Bye.